this should be an easy one. Going to replace this hose end. This thing has seen better days, as you can see. But this has been our trusty faithful hose on the back deck for about 5 years now, I guess. And it's just been getting steadily worse and worse and worse. It got to where, you know, it was leaking around the threads. It was slightly out of round. It would leak around the threads, and I put in extra gasket, and it still wasn't enough. And here lately, it finally actually cracked in the thread body here. So if you go to put your thumb over to try to like make it spray, it would spray out all through the threads and back spray on you and soak you. So what I've got, this is super simple. This is just a replacement male hose end. This one's from Harbor Freight. It may be complete junk, I don't know. I bought one at Lowe's 2 weeks ago and then I lost it. So we were just at Harbor Freight last night and I was like, oh shoot, I'll pick that up. So all we're gonna do, go on this one here, cut off just before this fitting, and then this male barb will go inside the hose, and then the green C-clamps here, not C-clamps, call it a saddle or whatever you want to call it, but this will clamp around the outside to basically act as a hose clamp. So now I'll get it cut and slapped on there, and then you see what it looks like when it's done. This is super easy. So I got the other fitting cut off and got the new barb and thread put in the hose, but this collar is complete junk. It's too tight. So it's made for, I guess, a thinner walled hose. This hose, I didn't think this hose was a thick walled hose, but I guess it is. So I can't use this collar on this hose. It just physically will not fit on there. With some longer screws, I could maybe get it to reach and then torque it down tight enough to get a good squeeze on it, but it just is not. With the little screws that they included, it won't close down tight enough to make a new connection. So I'm going to go rummage around in my shop here and see if I can find a hose clamp real quick, about 3/4 inch hose clamp, and should be able to put that on there. It'll work just the same, but this little plastic collar is, like I said, if it was a real thin-walled, flimsy hose, it'd work, but this hose is, I guess, thicker and heavier duty than I realized, so it ain't gonna work. But let me go see if I can find a hose clamp. Well, shame on me for not having my own pieces and parts, but thank God my wife had some. My wife is always using hose clamps on a lot of different fish tank setups and stuff, so I went and dug through the garage and I found one, but it was too small. And now this one she had, of course, it's way too big, but it'll get the job done anyway. So I've just got it clamped on there good and tight. It ain't gonna come apart. And I should probably find some way to try to bend this around and tape it down or something, just so it's not always hanging out there. Or maybe I'll go in here with tin snips and cut it off. That'd probably be the easiest, really, would be just to cut it off a little shorter. Maybe cut it off shorter and then take it out of there and cut it off shorter with it out. You know, mark where it needs to be cut, and then you can put it back together, and that way it's actually not sticking way out here. It'll have a little tail right there. But worst case is I can just cut it right here by the nut, and then, you know, use a pair of pliers or something and fold it back on itself so it's not a scratch hazard. But I mean, this is gonna hang up on everything and just make everybody mad, so I'll have to cut that tail off somehow. But anyway, for now, it's fixed. So if you're gonna buy a little cheapo hose end at Harbor Freight, just get a pack of hose clamps to go with it. Because actually, the one that I said I had bought from Lowe's was one like this with a barb nipple and a hose clamp. It didn't have that little crappy collar that's supposed to make it cute and pretty. But I've seen these things come in different shapes and sizes, so I would just keep it simple, stick with a barb and hose clamp, and you can't really go wrong.